I'm here today with a very special magician. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourselves, how you got started in magic, a bit about your company, the name, everything?
Yep, by all means. So I'm Paul Jameson, otherwise known as PJ, and owner of PJ's Magic. I got started in magic via my namesake personally. My middle name's Daniel, and my mum was absolutely obsessed with the magician Paul Daniels. So it was only right that I thought, well, you know what, let's give it a go. And I got into it, and people were saying, well, you're good at this. You should do it full time. You should try and go for it big time. And I went, really? Believing in them. And then, yeah, got on it, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Wow.
So just being named after a magician was what really got me started into it.
Okay, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So what transition didn't you into kind of working like the events or getting into the event side then?
So basically, obviously, your general market start off with is like kids' parties and what have you.
Yeah.
So it's little small stuff, which is not bad. It gets your foot in the doorway, but I wanted to transition into doing bigger things. I want to do corporate events. I want to do obviously massive weddings and such, and not just say for an hour or so. I want to get in there and do like 2-3 hours worth of work because they hire a DJ for as long and such, and then photo booths. So why not a magician? I mean, I what I do. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'll book you for an hour." I could probably work one table in about an hour.
Yeah, yeah.
There's so much I could do, and I don't get around to seeing everybody.
Hmm.
So
Do you think people
it's one of those things
underestimate
that
it then? Do you think they
quite a
underestimate
lot,
the
yeah,
yeah.
very much so. I mean, it's one of those things that you think, oh, it's going to entertain, it's going to quickly do a few magic tricks. The amount of times that people will say, "Do that again," or "Show me it again," and do it slowly, and I can't do it slowly. I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's what it is. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no.
good.
Makes complete sense to be honest, with what you're saying and everything. The majority of my kind of YouTube users, they're all photo booth owners or people in the photo booth industry.
Mhm.
You've got like
Yep.
I've got like over 1,000 subscribers, so I'm sure they can relate with the same thing because we have the same thing with the photo booth industry. I
Mhm.
had someone today. I must have sent them a quote over, and I said to him, minimum hire we do on our fog machine, which is a very basic fog machine is 2 hours. And they've come back. Yes, I want it 3 days later. I want to book you for an hour, right? We don't do an hour. We do minimum hire 2 hours because it's not worth us going out driving somewhere.
Yeah.
Turn up a fog machine for an hour. The travel time and that's not worth it. And it's the same with the photo booth hire though. You will get
Mhm.
requests for an hour and it's not worth it for you, is it? And moreover, like
You've
you
got
say,
to do that setting up, haven't you?
it's the it's the ROI, so the return in interest, like for paying staff, going there, travel. But not only that, like you say, they're not going to enjoy the experience. It's not all the guests are going to experience it just in general because you can't reach those numbers in that time. So
Exactly.
that's a really good point though. It'll help. I guess it kind of helps the viewers understand how the magic has the same problem for magicians.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So that'll probably move on well to my next question. Um,
Hmm.
do you work with other event professionals like photo booth companies, caterers, venues, and how do you like to be approached? Because a lot of my users for our YouTube channel, they're from the photo booth background, and some of them, they're very nervous. They don't know how to approach venues. They don't know how to approach magicians like yourself. That's why when I thought we're going to get a magician on, I thought, A, that's amazing because I
Yeah,
met you at the wedding first. I knew you were good. And I thought, and
yeah.
B, it'd be really good for users, not only to you to get exposure, but for them to know if there's magicians in their area of the UK, what's the
Hmm.
correct way to approach them, because I know that a lot of them would want to collaborate with magicians and, like yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Personally, I think the easiest thing to do is literally see if they've got business cards on them because most magicians will have them on them because word of mouth is the best kind of way of doing it and saying, I met this magician, I've got his card, yada yada yada, and it gets you so much more. And that person then wants to see that number and it has a knock-on effect. So people with photo booths and other catering companies and such. I've had a number of work from people that kind of said to me, I know a magician, or they've got in contact with me because someone said to them, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for something different. I want something to do here, there, and everywhere. And they'll go, well, I know somebody. Let me give you his details. And a lot of the time, it is a case of people ask them, do you know what else I could do for a wedding or for an event? And they're like, well, what do you want to do? How do you want to entertain and such? So there are ways of doing it. I mean, I used to be very, very nervous. I used to ask a few of the photographers that were at weddings, could I possibly get shots that I'm in so I could put them into a portfolio? Because other than that, you wouldn't go around with as a magician taking your phone out and taking photos of yourself because
Yeah.
one, it seems a bit obnoxious, and it's also kind of in your face. Yeah, if you've got a phone and people are loving it and you're all taking a selfie, great. But
Mm.
more often than not, at a wedding or an event, there is somebody there employed to do that. So if
Yeah.
you give them your business card or ask for their business card and say, look, I know you've been taking photos. If I help you and you help me, can I get a few of them? I mean, I know as well with the photo booths as well. I've
Mm.
had people take cards in and get photos with the card, just in case they've lost the cards. They've got the photos still,
Yeah.
and it's a memory that they've taken away with them, as well as a photographic one as well.
Yeah.
So it's brilliant. I mean, if anybody could um, say to me, "Oh, can you recommend me for such and such?" I will do. I would wherever I can. I will say I know these people because networking is one of the best things you could do. You might
100%.
not necessarily know straight off the bat as to who everyone is, but once you get familiar with people and you know them and they will do the same for you, fantastic, because they'll be the first person you recommend, really.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, I agree, and it's something I'm saying to the users all the time, because we manufacture photo booths, we hire them out. We
Mm-hmm.
also work with a lot of partner photo booth companies as well, and even in our industry, there's other photo booth companies that they will send us work, we'll send them work if we can't do it, and it's that way.
Yeah.
And I think the most nervous thing for some of the new comers to the photo booth industry is how to approach people like magicians, yourself, hotels,
Mhm.
venues. So that's good. It gives them a clear idea of how they can potentially partner and how to approach you guys. And I think what you said is a really good question. I've never seen a magician with a camera, so helping them out, getting them
Exactly.
photography would be a great way. Yeah,
Yeah, it just gives one another the rub to say, look, I know this photographer. The
yeah,
photos I've got on my portfolio are what this photographer's done. So
yeah.
this is me saying this is how good they are or their product. This go check them out, and then they will book me. Hopefully, book the photographer. I
Mm,
mean, I've worked with a couple of photographers that I've done wedding fairs with a number of times, and I just go there and go, "Hello, not seen you for a while," and jokingly, but I've may have saw him a couple of weeks ago at a wedding fair. But we've both got the same gig because we've both kind of said, "Oh, have you seen such and such?" And
yeah.
we've bigged up the other one.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So normally, like, what do you typically look for in the partnership? Like, do you just look for a referral, or do you work on like a
Um,
commission, or does
a
it just?
lot of the time, it's referrals. I mean, I don't want to sit and mooch off the back of somebody else because
Yeah,
they might not necessarily be looking for what I'm going to be providing. But
yeah,
people see me and say, well, do you know anyone in the business? Because you've obviously gone to these wedding fairs, you see all these things. So I
yeah,
can
yeah.
make suggestions. And I do have a fair number of contacts, whether it be photo booths, photographers, sound and lighting, and various other things.
Mm,
There are a million and one people that I could probably pop out of a hat and say, great. But I prefer to go with those that I do know um, in a one-to-one situation. I've seen their products. I've seen what they can do, as
mm.
opposed to, oh, well, I've heard of this person. I know this person on Facebook, and I might not have seen anything they've done. I'd rather give recommendation for things I have seen and support those I do know do a fantastic job.
That's fair. That makes sense. So, from your experience, what role in entertainment does magic play in, enhancing the overall guest experience? What do you think for that?
Um, I don't want to sound big-headed when I say what half of what I'm going to say, but it's the reaction.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a wedding, if it's a party, if it's a corporate gig. You're either going to get looks of astonishment, which is fantastic, or you're just going to get people screaming and calling your names. It's expected because what I'm doing logically can't be done,
Hmm.
but I'm doing it. And yeah, if I can make somebody's day and literally give them something to take away from it and a memory, because that's basically what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
giving them a memory via something unbelievable. And if I can give them a memento of it, like a card they've signed or something, and say, there you are, keep it, that will sit in their mountain. I know a number of people that I've seen at weddings and actually bridegrooms, and they have that my card stuck to their fridge.
Wow.
I've asked them, and a couple I've known, 10 years ago when I attended one of their first ones.
Yeah.
They asked me to go back when they renewed the vows, and they gave me the card that they had from the very first trick I showed them. And I said, "Well, you still have it? Well, you can keep it." But they said, "Oh no, we want another one now. We need more." So people do go away with it, and it's so impactful. It yeah, I do magic, but it's how people react and respond to it. That's what is the magic, if anything.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Do you think there's kind of like a trend growing now for magicians and like,
Um, excuse me. It has peaks and troughs. It goes up and down like a roller coaster. Obviously, Dynamo, he was an absolute godsend when he came out. He was great because before that we'd had probably like David Blaine,
mm,
obviously Paul Daniels. I could throw a few names out and people would be like, "Oh yeah." I could throw other names out and people are like, "I don't know who that is." But for me, it's like that's a peer. I'd look up to those people, and these are the creators of like gimmicks and various other magics and stuff. And for me, yeah, great people, absolutely great people. It, yeah, I don't know. It depends on how mainstream it can be. I think things like Britain's Got Talent's fantastic to get magicians out there because a lot of them want to establish themselves. Even just appearing on it is a great footnote for a lot of people.
mm.
But one thing I don't like is people going on there and then other phoning up saying, "How did you do this?" I'm not going to tell you. Why would I tell you?
Oh,
It's great, but I just don't like people coming
do you
up to
get
me and
that a
saying,
lot?
"Did you see?" Constantly, constantly. Or they say, "Have you seen Dynamo do this?" Or "Have you seen
Yeah.
David Blaine do this?" I'm like, yeah, but that's what he does, and this is my tricks. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I could do some of them, but I'm not going to do all of them.
No, no, that
So,
makes sense. I bet that must get pretty annoying for you as well, isn't it? Sometimes. Is it more when they find like people have had a drink that they kind of like that, or?
um, no, well, yes and no. I mean, people obviously sit there and relate you to the only magician that they know. So at times, yeah,
Yeah,
they'll sit there probably a bit drunk and go, "Oh, Dynamo, come do this trick again." I'm not Dynamo, but yeah, I'll come do a trick because that's all they can remember.
mm,
But I will answer to it because I know Dynamo's not there. I will do what I can. But
yeah,
again, obviously, if they're shouting for Dynamo or whatever, they've been excited by the trick I've shown them. I've done my job. I'm successful in what I've done because they want to see something else.
mm,
It can get irritating. They're drunk and you've got to try and manage your crowd, but we
yeah.
get there. We manage it.
What's the toughest event that you think you've done? Like, what's the toughest gig you've had as a magician?
Well, children's parties are always tough
Mm,
because all the kids want to touch everything you've got.
yeah,
The kids are the worst. As much as kids' parties are fantastic, I love doing them.
yeah,
Kids will come up to you and go, as a card under there, miss, you're not supposed to be looking at that bit. You
yeah,
you're everywhere, and I can't control that much. I think I like working with adults more because adults know logic, and as
yeah,
soon as you take logic out of the equation, the reactions I get is so strong as though, well, I know that's not logically possible. Well, it is. I did it.
yeah. Wow, that's cool.
It,
That's an
it's
interesting one.
travel stuff.
I'm sure the 1,000 people in my community will agree with the kids events with the amount of props that we get and kids running around with them, trying to steal the hats and everything.
It
Uh,
is bonkers.
it
That's
is, yeah.
one of the reasons why I stopped wearing a top hat, because the amount of people that wanted to take the top hat.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, no, it's mine.
Yeah, and then it's a mission getting it back because you do something else and you're dealing with a client and then you're like, where's it gone? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Well,
So drunks are a bit like the children, strangely enough. You got to get that middle ground. Just make sure that they've not had too much,
yeah.
and they're just manageable.
Yeah, no, no, that makes sense. So, would you say like the biggest way you're kind of growing it yourself right now, like your kind of business with the magic side and being a magician,
Mhm.
has it networking been the biggest way for you that you've grown it, you found?
Yes, very much so. I mean, Facebook is a wonderful thing, which is great. Insta, I've only just started really dipping my toe into.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, word of mouth has probably been the greatest thing for me, for the sake that someone will say, "Oh, I remember this magician," and granted, they will try and remember who I am. Some of them are friends; they will know, and they've seen it. They will say, "Oh, I know a magician," and get in contact with me.
Mhm.
So yeah, Facebook and word of mouth has been great. However, attending wedding fairs and doing these little like festive events and stuff throughout the year have been great as well, because it puts you in a different light to other people. It's not just about doing birthday parties and little charity gigs and such. There are other things, corporate gigs and like large wedding events. I mean, if I could get my foot in the door doing something corporate, I'd be well away. I'd be happy with that much.
Yeah. Mm.
I mean, the dream is to do this full time.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it, but hey, it's getting your foot in that door and having regular, frequent work.
Yeah.
It's COVID was the worst thing in the world, because
Mhm.
obviously everything I do, I hand out to people, and no one wants to touch stuff because of COVID. Pick a card, yeah, I don't think so, mate.
No, that's I think that's a really good answer to be fair. And I'd say it's the same for our sector as well, you know. The biggest thing I get from guys who buy in a photo booth or they're new to the channel is asking a lot of questions about how they can get leads. And I think it is being persistent. Like you've got to be everywhere, haven't you? Facebook, Instagram. Like today in this age, we're in the point where someone goes and grabs one of these, a phone, and they want to find everything on it, don't they? So
Yeah.
it's a difficult one, but yeah, no, I think that's been really, really useful. So where can people find you? Was it just a Facebook you said that you've got right now?
Yeah, currently, I'm only on Facebook at the moment. I am starting to branch out, but I have an email address. That's pjsmagic@outlook.com.
Yeah,
And obviously, PJ's Magic Facebook page is where I could be found at the moment.
yeah.
Fingers crossed, I will get into doing Insta, but once that gets up and running, I will update Facebook with details on that so I can get both. I'm staying way well clear of TikTok because I ain't got a clue about that. And my 9-year-old son could teach me things like that. I ain't got a clue. I'm quite technophobic.
But no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's getting yourself out there and just listing yourself on every site you can. You know,
Yeah.
it's a bit like thinking of the internet as a yellow pages, because we do it. Getting onto every site there is, Bride, Hits, add to event in the UK. Even Yell. Yeah, I think even the Yellow
Mm.
Pages, a photo booth company was telling me the other day, has an online directory. It just basically helps you with if someone Googles you might not be number one, but you might be number 15, and someone might have scrolled down and seen you by that time. And it
Hmm.
obviously helps in an overall factor of things. But yeah, it sounds like what you're doing is brilliant, mate. I'll say keep going with it. And
Hmm.
thank you very much for taking us a time out of your day to, I know you're
No,
juggling
that's quite all right.
to come on to the show and everything, and I'm sure that the users will want to know more. So what I will do is I will take the link that you sent me over and I'll put it into
Yep.
YouTube as well. So if any of
Yep.
my 1,000 subscribers, we've got over 1,000 now, if they want to basically contact you or get in touch with you, they can. And
Hmm.
guys, keep supporting within the industry. So please do support And if you know anyone that needs your services, make sure you make the referral.
Yep.
Like I always say to my guys, networking is the key. But
It
yeah,
very
thank
much
you
is.
very
Yeah.
much for taking the time to come on, man.
No, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. It's obviously, like I said, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. We're always there to help one another.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
even with talking to other magicians. It's not a case of competition. It's a case of let's get out there, let's get the work because it's available, and sometimes they can't do all the jobs.
Yeah.
So get out there, share it.
Yeah, and it's very much the same in the photo booth industry. We're very lucky that I'll say probably 95% of the market, we have that same mentality and attitude. And I think you said a key thing there, and it's something that one of my other guests has said on a podcast, one that's doing very well, is that, don't look at any other business in period, even if they're in your sector as a competitor. They could have something that you don't have. Like for example, we don't sell magic mirrors. Sorry, we
Yeah.
do sell magic mirrors. We don't hire magic mirrors, I should say. My correction there. So we don't hire out magic mirrors because of the weight right now, because they're so heavy.
Mhm.
But we know those are companies that do, and we would send the work onto them. So yeah, it's definitely working collaboratively. I'd say that's a big thing. But no, thank
Yeah.
you a lot for your time.
No, that's right. Thank you very much for having me. Like I said, it's been been wonderful talking to you. Obviously, we've seen one another through various wedding fairs that we've done, and fingers
Yeah,
crossed we get to see one another throughout doing them as well.
yeah, definitely, buddy, definitely.